Hey everybody, I'm Scott with Starkey Family, Fixing and Rigging Up. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you turn your notifications on. That way when I make new videos, you'll get notified. Now today, we're going to change the oil on my Silverado. My Silverado is a 2001 Chevrolet 2500 HD with the Duramax engine in it, diesel. So let's go ahead and get this rolling. Okay, first off, you need a vehicle with a Duramax diesel in it. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need is at least 2.5 gallons of engine oil. Make sure you look at the weight that your vehicle takes, but my Duramax calls for 15 weight 40. Now I use synthetic oil in everything that I have. Unless there is a warranty on it stating you have to use something else, this is what I always use. Now, as for the oil filter, you can all use whatever you want, of course. I use the Fram for a simple reason. You see this undercoating on the outside? It makes it simple to put the oil filter on and take it off. Most oil filters, they do filter a little bit differently here and there, but for the most part, they're all fine. They are all fine. They do their job. Change your oil when you need to. Myself, I try to hit about every 3,000 miles on my Silverado. Yes, you can run them up to a lot more, but I've owned my truck for several years now, and I like to keep it in good standing order. So I change it about every 3,000 miles. Now, Mobile and Fram are not paying me for this. This is just what I use. Now, I do want to tell you that normally I power wash my vehicles off before I change the oil and everything. Right now, we're coming out of winter time, and we're actually expecting another rain tomorrow. So I am not going to waste my time today power washing the engine and the truck just for it to rain tomorrow. Okay, so before you do anything, make sure you chalk your wheels. We don't want your vehicle moving out from under you. Okay, so let's jack the truck up. Now, we're going to start right directly behind the front tire, right here on the frame rail. And I'm going to use the jack to jack it up by the frame. And then we are actually going to use a jack stand. Now, my pickup truck is at a standard height that was set from the factory. If your truck is higher off the ground, meaning you have a lift kit, you have larger tires, whatever, you may not even need a jack. So let me go ahead and get this jacked up. Okay, driver's side's jacked up. Okay, we're on the passenger side of the truck, so let's go ahead and jack it up. Okay, so make sure that your pickup truck is setting even. Okay, at this point in time, this is normally when I would take the oil and fill the oil filter with oil before I would install it onto the engine. The way that this oil filter actually goes on the Silverado, I can't really do that because the filter goes on like this. And if I do that, then a lot of oil is going to dump out. So I'm going to put just a little bit in there, not a lot, but I also have to lubricate this ring with oil. Okay, so now I'm about to go back into the truck and remove the old oil filter. Okay, so next to your drive shaft is where your oil filter is going to be located. Now, I want to point this out. This right here is a transmission filter. This is on your transmission pan. Do not mistake them. So just unscrew it. Make sure your oil pan's under it. Okay, so after this actually stops draining, you want to wipe that whole housing out and make sure it's clear. Okay, so as it slows down on draining, Take a rag up in there, wipe it off, make sure the oil ring is not stuck from the old oil filter right in here. Grab the old oil filter, or not the old, but the new oil filter. This is fun to do with one hand and holding the camera with the other, by the way. Okay, so just screw it on. Now this is why I normally choose the frame filters, is because of this undercoating here. It makes it a little bit easier to grab a hold of. Okay, make sure it's nice and snug. Wipe off down here on the bottom a little bit. So your oil filter's on. Okay, so here is your drain plug. Now I did this oil and stuff here, I just sprayed that to clean up the area. So you can use whatever you want, but this takes a 5/8. So if you want to use a socket or whatever, you can use whatever you want. Now this is where it gets scary, because this oil is aimed right at us. Most likely we're going to get nailed, but we'll find out here. Okay, we're good. Okay, so we're just going to let that drain. Okay, so it's still draining a little bit. So what I normally do is, when the oil is draining out, and I have the oil filter already on, that is the perfect time to take your oil drain plug, which is this, and wipe it off. Now, do you see this ring that's right here at the very back of the threads? If that is cracked, then you will need to replace it. Otherwise, you're going to have a consistent drip, okay? But if it's in good shape, like this one here is, don't worry about it. Okay, so it's barely draining now. So now I'm going to take the drain plug, screw it back in here. Okay, so now you got oil dripping off the skid plate, and you got a little mess here to clean up. So now's a good time just to take a rag, just wipe all that off down on here. Okay, so the typical 6.6 turbo diesel Duramax takes 2 gallons of oil, or 10 quarts. Now, I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, you can buy it in the quarts if you want. If you do that, most likely you're going to spend around $8 to $9 per quart. If you go and buy it in the gallon jug, like I did, these are, at the time of this video, was $18 a gallon. So it's a pretty big savings. Now, if you're a person that does not change their filter every time they change their oil, I would tell you not to do that anymore, because that's kind of silly to do that. But if you are a person that does that, then you may want to subtract 1 quart of oil on an oil change. But the whole reason behind changing your oil is to what? Have clean oil and protect your engine. So basically, if you're taking the filter that's got miles on it and has went through and collected the old oil and everything like that, stop being a cheapskate. It's like $6 for an oil filter, bottom line. So you're going to need 2.5 gallons for this. Okay, so I still have a jack and a jack stands underneath my truck. So do not try to check your oil and add more oil having your truck jacked up. You have to have your vehicle level. So at this point, make sure your truck is lowered and you have all your tools out from underneath the vehicle. Okay, at this point, we're about ready to start the truck up. So what you want to look for is you want to make sure when you start this up that you gain oil pressure. The reason being is you want to do that in every vehicle. There are some vehicles out there that will not reprime themselves if the oil filter has no oil in it and the oil pump is external, for example. So always make sure that you regain oil pressure. If you don't have a gauge like this, you'll have a light. And there you go. Make sure you let it circulate just a little bit. That gets all the air bubbles out of your oil filter, out of your system, before you shut it off, and allow your vehicle to drain the oil, no matter if it's cold or warm, you know, at least about 30 seconds anyways. If it's like really cold, like below zero cold, and you're doing that on a cold engine, you're gonna wait several minutes before you check your oil. Let me show you this. This is my drain pan for my oil. And I have another pan for the oil that comes off of the drain pan. I know, it makes sense, right? But if you don't have one, they're well worth it. Okay, so I really don't need to check the oil because I know my truck takes 2.5 gallons of oil. But just to satisfy everybody, the first time you pull it out, the dipstick, you want to wipe it off because you will get a false reading. Okay, so after wiping it off, it's completely clean. Pull it back out. And as you see, it's completely full. So wipe it off and stick it back in there. And congratulations, you've now just changed the oil in your own vehicle. Okay, so we've got the oil change done. We're back in the vehicle. Now, this vehicle here and most all other vehicles anyways are equipped with an oil change light. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to actually reset that. But keep in mind, personally, I do not go by that because I believe the oil is in the vehicle way too long, okay, when you do that. Now, with me, this is my work vehicle. So I need this vehicle to last, and it has. At the time of this video, my truck is pushing 21 years old now, okay? So the way I've always changed the oil in this is it's averaged about every 3,000 miles. Okay, and that is using synthetic oil. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay, now you're going to notice my lights aren't on down here right now. Sometimes I hit a bump and they come right back on. It's just the way it's always been. But my truck has about 160,000 miles on it right now. So right there, I've got the key ignition on. You see how the dashboard looks? Okay, so I'm going to turn it on. Instantly pump your accelerator. See the oil change light kicking on right there? Okay, it's reset. So now you can turn the key off. And that's all you have to do. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope y'all learned something. I hope you come back and watch my other videos also. And I thank you if you've got this far. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you like the video, give me a like. And make sure you turn on your notifications. That way you know when my other videos come out. Thank you.